enjoyed the talk. I can relate to a lot of what you've said, to be honest. And I find that I probably avoid social situations out of, not really fear, but I guess wanting to avoid the uncomfortableness of trying to please other people, or because I like to be quiet a lot as well. Yeah. And I do worry that it comes across as odd.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I went out with a couple of friends like a couple of days ago, and it was fun, but it was also quite draining. Partially, I think I was anxious about like not speaking enough. That took away from the enjoyment of us, you know, of the gathering. But also I feel like, and this probably sounds really self-aggrandizing, but like my level of consciousness is higher than theirs in a sense. So I feel like I couldn't really relate to them as much as as I'd have liked to.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I understand that. It's the same if you if we took it out of like your consciousness is above them or something. If we put it into like you had different interests. So if you were like super interested in computer games or something, and you had friends that had no relationship to that, or you're really interested in psychology and friends that have no ability to relate into it, there's like an area of the conversation which can't be met. So it's difficult if you've explored yourself and explored your relationship to others and to the world, and your friends haven't. There's a whole area of yourself that you can't share with them in a way, because they wouldn't know what to say to it. They would be lost.
Yeah, especially particularly being in this conversation.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to meet my dad we're going to go for a meal in a week's time, and I'm a little bit worried about that because we're not really close. At least from my side, I don't feel super close to him. You know, things have happened over the years, and I feel that there's I'm just not that close to him.
Yeah.
So to some extent, I have to pretend. But then again, when when I'm actually in front of him, it might be different. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think.
And what I do is I look at it as a practice. So it's like when I meet, especially people that aren't into spirituality, so I know that there's no language. Like I can't say to them, I've got an emotion coming up, or I feel this, or I feel that. Like I look at it as a practice. Like, so it's a practice to see how authentic I can be, not in what I necessarily say, but just like staying in myself and allowing. Like, I don't necessarily need them to understand my perspective intellectually, but I mean like staying in myself, as in like staying in that, not staying in that beingness, but like staying, like I suppose not getting lost in like their emotions or what they're feeling or trying to connect, like staying in myself. I can't describe that better. And like how much I can do that before I start going into trying to make them feel better. That's my default position, is like I give up on myself, and then I just think, okay, well, what will make them feel more comfortable in this situation? What will make them feel better? And what I'm trying to do at the moment is like stay more in my body and just not go into that type of thinking or that type of energy, and how much of that I can do. And then also watching, what is it that pulls me out into that behavior? Like, why do I suddenly need that urge? And like, what games are they playing as well? Because it might also be a dynamic between you both. Like, so with certain members of my family that I can think of, is it's like a bit of a dynamic that I become motherly or carer or the helper. And it's like, what do they do to then suck me into sort of going into trying to make them feel really good about themselves? So I see it like a bit of a game, like but a really positive game. Even though sometimes I'm like, ugh, I can't be bothered with this. Like I'd rather like be doing something creative or doing this. But it seems to be, you know, at the moment when we're in this society that is like some people are waking up and the others aren't, we have to keep meeting this again and again. So we have to find a positive way to relate to it. And so the way that I relate is like, this is an opportunity for me to expand more on the human level. I don't know if that touches anything in you or how you feel about that.
Yeah, it does. It's interesting because I'm noticing a little bit of anxiety coming up now.
Yeah.
Around like, am I allowed to have a quiet? It's funny because like you always say like have a quiet moment,
yeah,
if you need to and whatever. So
yeah, you're totally allowed that. I know I'm breaking the silence now, but just you're totally allowed that. And it's so much conditioning from humans because of their insecurity that quiet people need to be chatty. We don't need to be chatty. Because there's this silence and this stillness that's so beautiful as well, and it just doesn't get acknowledged. Like there is this other element to us that's communicating, like this love, this consciousness, I don't know what we call it, this oneness, this beingness, which is animating us, and it's totally silent. There's such a celebration, and I can feel it, you know, when we begin to go silent, I can feel it like ding. Like it's really sweet. I can feel it also when we're speaking as well, but it's nice when there's those pauses.
what does it feel like to you?
Love.
Mm.
I also part of my partner's family are also quite quiet as well, and what they do is they do art together. I love this. So I went round there recently. I got there, nobody required me to speak. I walked in, I just went hello, then I sat down. I don't think I spoke for 5 minutes, and then we like decorated cookies together. It was so sweet, like, you know, and sort of we had music on. It was like slipping in and out of conversation, but it was just really nice to have this other activity to do.
Yeah, my partner's family are on the quieter side.
Yeah.
But it almost to the other extreme, that I want to know what's going on.
Oh right. Like so much, yeah.
In their heads and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, it's been nice to chat anyway. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying all of that, and I really appreciated our silences. Thank you for doing
Yeah,
that.
I it's interesting, like the when I you know, sometimes I struggle to get my words out. This is something that I've been um um even now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've encountered that before with clients.
Yeah, with people, and actually with myself as well. I sometimes, especially because I'm going through the hormonal change, like sometimes you get something called brain fog. I,
Yeah,
I can't like get my sentences to get going. Um, yeah, and then also with people, sometimes it can be through a nervousness or just that they've just got a different wiring or a different setup. So that connection between what they're feeling and what they're wanting to express, and then actually interpreting that into words can become difficult.
yeah. It's almost like there's a bit of a disconnect between brain and mouth
Yeah.
sometimes. And you know, I've thought of myself for a long time as like a very eloquent person, but the last couple of years, something seems to have switched, or like I was typing a message to my partner in WhatsApp, and I was obsessing over using the right words and the right grammar
Yeah.
today, and I don't know what that's about.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. Could be related to becoming more self-aware. So, like this authenticity conversation, although it could be lots of other things, there could be, yes, so many different factors. But as you become more self aware and there's more of a desire to be authentic, then there could be this focusing in on words as something which is stopping you being authentic or something which is stopping you really express yourself. Or as you're getting to know emotions, it's like finding the vocabulary that fits the new vocabulary. So it could be, but it could be related to the feeling of wanting to be authentic and not really knowing how that manifests yet.
Hmm. Well, that's interesting. Hmm. Yeah, because words kind of fall short, don't they? Ultimately.
Yeah, totally.
Hmm. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. I've so appreciated this conversation. You just really started off these questions and answers really well, as in this silence and letting ourselves have more space.
Yeah. Oh, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Uh,
Oh, I found that really sweet.